Okay, get yourself ready for your morning practice. Sit in a good cross-legged position. And then just come into cross legs. Find some levelness at the seat bones. Hold onto your knees and lift up into the chest. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. And just look down at the floor, look at something that's not moving. Just observe your balance and just adjust if necessary. Just feel that you are sitting evenly. Elevate the heart area upwards, draw your shoulders down, keep your eyes still in the sockets, just looking at something that doesn't move. So stilling your eyes in the sockets just allows you to quieten the brain. Bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together. Lengthen from your armpits into your elbows. And then allow your eyes to gently close. Spend a little time just observing the feeling of filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Filling both lungs evenly and emptying both lungs from the top to the bottom. Acknowledging that the in-breath brings us life. That without breath, there is no life. So every inhalation is a gift of existence. As long as there are no heart conditions or blood pressure issues, at the top of the in-breath, just gently hold your breath for a moment, just for a second or two, just to allow the body to ingest that oxygen within the lungs. Followed by a normal exhalation and a slow, deep, steady inhalation. Just drawing your attention into the movement and the action of the breath. With an out breath, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. hold on to that feeling of abundance as you release your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards, connecting the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb. Just a gesture of wisdom, physical intelligence, and peacefulness that we can carry as an intention into our practice. And then just allow your eyes to softly open and the focus come back as you raise your head. Just hold onto your knees and lift up into the heart area, just observing how simply the action of elevation of the chest brings energy into the body. So if the body feels tired, then elevating the heart area upwards, drawing the shoulders down away from your ears, changes that perception of tiredness. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across your ribs and your shoulders, maintaining your connection with the breath, but also observing areas of resistance, areas of non-resistance within the body. So areas of physical resistance, areas of mental resistance. Use your out breath to intensify the turn. Keep elevating the heart area up to the ceiling. Digging the back hand into the floor so that you roll onto the front edge of the seat bones. And then come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees. Take a deep inhalation. And with an exhalation, turn to the left. Again, driving the chest up to the ceiling, drawing your abdomen across and your ribs across, and your shoulders across. And then gently come back to the center. Come off your lift, sit back on your heels with the knees apart. Just allow the body to sink into the ground. Just allow the feet to sink into the floor, the shins. Let the shin skin press into the floor. If you're on a soft floor like I am, that shin connection is probably easier than if you're on a hard floor. So if you feel that you're not getting that connection, then pick up the front of the knee and then stretch the front of the knee forward so that the shin comes down more precisely. Just lift up into the chest. Elevate the heart area upwards, gathering the shoulder blades together. Take a deep inhalation, and then with the exhalation, come forwards, hinging at the hips, keeping the chest lifted. So again, if you've got restriction in your back, you can bring a block underneath your head, or if you feel that you sink significantly in the chest as you come forwards, then put a block underneath your head. Otherwise, keep extending the chest forwards, extending the chin towards the hands, and then finally bringing the forehead down. Just listen to the sound of the breath. No longer holding the breath at any stage. Just allowing the breath to flow as in a natural fashion. Activate the tailbone down to the heels. Activate the arms. Spread the palms. Squeeze the outer elbows in. Just elongating the spine. And then come up onto your knees, have your hands as wide apart as the mat, turn your toes under, and then come up into dog down. So it might be useful to bend your knees initially to elevate the tailbone up to the ceiling. If it's heavy on your arms, it's typically because your legs aren't doing anything, aren't doing any work. So lift the thighs. Lift the fronts of the thighs up to the hip socket. Turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Push the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. Tighten the kneecaps. Press the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees. Press the fronts of the shins through to the calves. Turn the fronts of the shins inwards. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position, and then have your feet as wide apart as your mat. Have blocks for underneath your hands coming forwards into half uttanasana if you've got a bad back, so blocks for your hands, and then you come forwards with a straight back, just finding the blocks, extending the chin and the chest away. Otherwise we'll go into full uttanasana, so have your feet as wide apart as the mat, turning the toes in slightly so that the outside edge of the foot is in line with the edge of the mat. Lift the heart area, have your hands on your hips initially, draw the shoulder blades together. Keep the legs activated as though you're still in dog down. Raise your arms up, lift the heart area to the ceiling, to the skies. And then bring the thumb into the crease of the elbows, wrap your fingers around your elbows, and then come forwards, keeping the legs really firmly activated, keeping the chin and the chest extending away, coming forwards with the straight back, using the hands on the blocks for half uttanasana if your back is stiff, otherwise just coming down. And then just observing your pose. Observing your pose from the inside, observing how your legs are activated. Are they activated evenly? Is the left leg working as a mirror image of the right and vice versa? Observe which of the legs is less enthusiastic and follow the more enthusiastic leg. Get the legs to work with balance and evenness. So the upper body can hang down to the floor, but the legs need to work with determination and evenness.
Bring your weight into your heels by hitting the shins back. And then when your weight is in your heels, then lift the seat bones a little higher. Release your hands down to the floor. Just come into half uttanasana initially. Bring your hands onto your shins if you haven't got blocks handy. Or find the floor and project the chin and the chest forwards in half uttanasana, lengthening forwards. Having your hands underneath your shoulders, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. Just feeling that the legs are working with levelness. Listen to the body's activity. That doesn't mean it's going to make sound. I mean, listen with your feeling. Watch and observe. Bring your hands into your hips. Bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into the standing position. And then just come into Tadasana, inner edge of the feet together. Lift the chest. Elevate the heart area upwards. Spread the fingers, spread the palms. Tighten the kneecaps. Turn your palms all the way out so that the upper arms rotate in the sockets and you really broaden the chest. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other. Observe the action of the legs. Turn the legs, the fronts of the legs inwards. Lift up into the chest. Breathing even, deep inhalations and exhalations. Stretch your arms forwards, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out. Squeeze the outer elbows in. And then raise your arms over your head, keeping the legs firmly engaged. So although your eyes can't see the legs or the feet or the torso, does it still feel as though it's activated? Keep your attention in the physical body. From the toes to the fingertips, from the face to the feet. Filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, filling them evenly, emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. Just release your arms, swap the interlock of the fingers so that the other index finger is on the top of the stack, and then turn the palms all the way out. And then again, raise your arms over your head. It should feel like you're hooking yourself to the ceiling and you're hanging down, but at the same time you're lifting away from the floor. From the feet up into the legs, into the chest, into the arms, into the hands, into the fingers, into the fingernails. As you stay, just continue to extend. And then release, just release your arms. Just coming back into Tadasana, just feel the energy of the arms, of the shoulders. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Okay, come down onto your knees and then just fold over the right side of your mat, so your left side of your mat, and have a block for your foot on the right side of the mat. And then on that little extra bit of cushioning of the mat, then come down onto your shins. So sitting back in virasana. Again, in this pose, it's about keeping the shins down. Obviously only on one leg, because one leg's going to be away from the floor. So spend a little time just pressing the shins into the ground. If you find that you can't access the shins, if they're not fully down, and often it's the top of the shin and the bottom of the shin that's connected, but then around the middle of the shin, maybe not, especially if you're sitting on a hard floor. So if that is the case, then get yourself a blanket, and then a folded blanket, and then kneel on that. In fact, if you've got a blanket handy, let's just all do that, because it does help you activate the shins. So sit back on your heels and just press the shin bone into the shin skin. So it's quite nice just to sit back on the heels like this, to sit in virasana. It's especially good for tired legs. So just sitting the shins on the folded blanket, just elevate the heart area upwards, but keeping the shins down. So again, it's the mind's eye that is observing the feeling of the pose. Just come up and kneel on your knees, and then observe, do your shins lift? If you're sitting on the blanket, probably not as much as they would do if they were not on the blanket. So try and press the shins down, have your hands on your hips and lift up into the heart area. Lengthen your toes really consciously away from your knees. And then bring your right knee forwards, keeping that shin really firmly pressing down into the floor. So we can do parighasana, a bit of a variation of trikonasana really. Press the shin of that back foot really firmly down, and then bring the right leg out to the side. You want a slight incline here. You don't want that hip to stick out. So you want a slight incline here. So that kind of dictates how wide you need to go. Keep that shin really firmly down. Lift up into the chest. Have your hands on your hips to start off with. Lift up into the chest, and then just slide your hand down your shin. Turn in this thigh like you would be in trikonasana, drawing the abdomen up to the ceiling, drawing the top shoulder towards the back of the room, and then reach up and over, bringing that hand consciously over the foot. Just have a quick look, make sure that it's in line. Turning the abdomen in one direction, turning the leg away from the abdomen, reaching over, keeping that shin of that back foot down on the floor. So yeah, tremendous stretch along that left side of the body. Look underneath the armpit. And then come back to the center, just bring that straight leg back,
And then just sit back on your heels. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Just observe the difference in the perceivable energy of the sides of the trunk. Maybe the left side feels significantly different to the right side. Okay, just fold over the right side of the mat, put the blanket over that, and then fold out the other side. And then when you're ready, kneel on the folded blanket. So with my folded blanket, my knees are kind of hanging off my toes, are hanging off the back of the blanket. So I just have to really lengthen into my toes. Just settle your legs settle your shins and your legs into the folded blanket. Lift up into the chest. Press in the shin bone into the shin skin. And then come up onto your knees, keeping the shins down. Bring the left leg forwards, pushing that right shin firmly into the floor. Bring the leg out to the side, using the edge of the mat to guide the knee, to line the knee up with the foot. And then reach across. Just pushing that block over until you find that incline. This leg has to turn from the inside out like trikonasana. And then slide the hand down. Turn the chest away from the floor. Keep pushing that front leg buttock bone forwards. And then reach up and over. If you can turn the palm to face upwards. Keep bending that elbow along the leg. Have a quick look, make sure that that hand is directly over the foot. Keep the shin down. Just breathe as naturally as you can. Okay, and then come back to the center. Bring that leg back and sit back on your heels, lift up into the chest. Just observe your energy. Listen to the breath. Feel how both sides of the trunk feel more even. And then come off the lift. Smooth your blanket out of the way. Unfold your mat. And then come onto all fours. Have your hands shoulder width apart. Step back, have your feet hip width apart. And come up into dog down. Drawing the abdomen towards the spine. Lengthening the armpits away from the hands, the hips away from the armpits. Breathe even, deep inhalation and exhalation. Turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Elevate the tailbone up to the ceiling. From here, we're going to go into rajakapotasana. If you need to, come down onto your knees first. Otherwise, we're going to go into it from dog down. So if you know that you can't come into rajakapotasana from dog down, then come onto your knees, be on all fours. And then follow the rest of the instructions as normal. So bend that right knee, bring the right knee to make contact with the right wrist, leaving that right foot underneath the left thigh, and then lengthen the left leg away, come up onto the fingertips, and then really activate that back leg, turning the front of the thigh inwards. So you tadasanaize that back leg so that the hips come level, and then elevate the abdomen up to the diaphragm, up to the heart area, to the collarbones, to the chin. If you can lift your chin, then do. Push the knees away from each other. Breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations. And then release the head. Bring the palms flat onto the floor. Turn the toes under with that back leg. Walk in a little, and then either go back onto all, bring the right knee back onto all fours, or activate that back leg and then come back up into dog down. So whichever works for you. Just observe how the body feels a little uneven after rajakapotasana on just one side. So we'll address that unevenness on the other side. Just use dog down as a recovery, but keep your dog down really deeply activated. Okay, bend your left knee, bring the left knee to make contact with the left wrist, the left foot underneath the thigh. Walk that right thigh away from the body. Tadasanaize that back leg. Activate that back leg, don't let it just be idle. Turn the front of the thigh inwards so that the back of the thigh broadens outwards. Lift the heart area up to the collarbone. Lift the chin, lengthen into that back leg. Push the knees away from each other. And then release the head. Bring the palms flat into the floor. Turn your toes under, and then either go back onto all fours or into dog down. And from all fours, come back up into dog down, observing how the pose feels a little more even. Activate the legs deeply, lifting seat bones away from the heels, tailbone up to the ceiling, drawing the abdomen towards the spine. Feel how the body is full of energy, maybe in direct contrast to how it felt at the beginning of the session. Okay, come down onto your knees. Sit back on your heels. Observe the energy of the body. Keeping the heart area lifting, the shoulders down away from your ears. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And then come forward into Adho Mukha virasana, just feeling that the body is fully engaged, the mind is fully engaged in the body. Just feel the pose. Observe the feeling of the pose. Listen to the breath. Just allow your body to engage with the physical pose, with the physical feeling of the pose. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders and push yourself up into a seated position, just sitting back on your heels, observing the energy you have released through your practice. That lightness of energy from the inside. And then come down onto your back and into supta baddha konasana, soles of the feet together, your knees apart, and then guide yourself down. Just initially let the body release into the floor. The feeling of the knees bringing them down into the floor from gravity. But if that feels stiff in your hips, then put blocks on the outsides of your thighs just to support them. Even if only one hip is stiff, then have a block underneath both hips just for levelness. Allow the body to sink into the floor. Feeling the front of the groin opening up. Listening to the breath. Being conscious of the energy you're releasing. And then consciously push the outside edge of the feet together. Push the heels together. Turn the tailbone in so that you draw the lumbar spine down to the floor. Stretch your arms up to the ceiling, interlock the fingers, and then turn the palms up to face the ceiling. Keep the thumbs in contact, squeeze the outer elbows in, and maintain that action of straight arms as you lengthen your arms along the floor. If there's stiffness in your shoulders, then you can put some blocks or a folded blanket underneath your hands to support your shoulders. Otherwise, just using the floor, pushing the heels and the outside edge of the feet together, turning the tailbone in, drawing the abdomen towards the spine. So the pose becomes lengthening from the hips into the armpits, into the elbows, into the wrists, into the palms, so that the pose becomes deeply activated from the feet to the fingers. Focus on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Release your arms up to the ceiling, swap the interlock of the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. Just observe the nowness of physical body. One of the best things about yoga is how, if you allow yourself to become absorbed by the practice, that it just brings your focus into the present moment, into the physical body. So anything else that is ailing us or worrying us outside of the mat and outside of this moment now just is insignificant. It's just this moment on the mat, observing the action of the pose. So if you become distracted, just draw your attention back into the physical sensations of the pose. And then release your arms, just rest your hands on your lower ribs, so let the knees just fall apart. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Bring your knees together, have your knees together and your feet apart for a moment, allowing the hips to recover slightly. And then pull your feet in towards the seat bones, have a block. And then push your feet into the floor, lift the seat bones up off the floor as high as you can. Gather your shoulder blades together so you come right onto the tops of your shoulders, and then place the brick in the tailbone sacrum area. Hold onto the edges of the mat, turn the crease of the elbows out to the sides. So you can stay with bent knees, or if you want to intensify the stretch, then you can slide the foot along the mat. Just try one leg, then the other. If that feels okay in your back, then you can push both of your legs away. Turn the thighs inwards like you're doing Tadasana. So I'm just bending my knees just because I've had a bit of a bad twingy back, and it feels quite strong on my back to keep my legs straight, so just softening out the back. Continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, staying on the tops of the shoulders so that the chest stays lifted and open. So this is just a gentle, supported inversion. And then push the feet into the floor, maybe come up onto the tiptoes, and then peel the tailbone off the block. Adjust your shoulders, move the block out of the way, and then come down onto the floor. Pull your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then rock yourself up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs, just hold onto your knees. take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across, and your ribs across, your shoulders across. And then come back to the center. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the left. And just observing how the pose feels for the physical body. And then come back to the center. And then for the last couple of minutes, just get a blanket, fold it over. Just make sure that it's evenly folded. And then guide yourself down into a really good straight line right down the center of the mat. Release down into the floor. Just let the physical body relax. Unhook the muscles of the arms and the legs. Allow the body to become heavy on the ground. And out of that heaviness comes a feeling of positive energy radiating from the bones and into the muscles and into the organs and the flesh and the skin. Use your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness evenly throughout the body, down into the toes, into the fingers and up into the top of the head. And then when you're ready, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, just bring yourself back into this pose of shavasana. And then draw your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, a gentle massage on the spine. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Final cross legs with your hands in the masti. Close your eyes, draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you've released through your practice this morning. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice. That good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you have created around the heart area. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down to your knees. Just connecting the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb, a gesture of wisdom, physical intelligence and peacefulness that we can carry through into our practice and into the rest of our day. And then very gently release your head, raise your eyes, just look forwards, and then bring your focus back into the room. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy and you've given yourself really good positive energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining me.